started the journey, the destination was unknown, struggling my way up the hill and often rolling down. With a forward pace and sometimes a reluctant soul, often walking in the dark towards an indistinct goal. My travels were filled with endless efforts and moments of despair, but they also brought tears of joy and millions of memories to share. So here I stand with all those memories and stories to be told, ready to embark on another journey, and my destination still unknown. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Bhakti, and after this short, little, tiny thing that was desperately trying to be a poem, you guys must have realized that I'm very bad with words. So kindly excuse me for all the mistakes that I made today during the presentation and the talk. I would like to start by introducing myself first. I am 22 years old, a student, as told in the introduction. I'm an open water swimmer, an observer. I like to sit and observe things, people, just random stuff. And a lazy person. I don't miss a single opportunity to hit the bed and doze off. As you can see in the picture above there, that is before my swim, when I was going for my swim in the Arctic Ocean. Normally people would be panicking at this time with nervousness and thinking about what to do and what not to do during the swim. I was busy dozing off in the car. My sport, it's called open water swimming or long distance swimming. Unlike the conventional swimming form, it's not done in the swimming pools. It's done in lakes, seas, oceans, ponds, if possible. It was accepted in Olympics, in the last Olympics, 2008. They held an event of 10 kilometers. Unfortunately, nobody from India could participate for some unavoidable reasons. It's an adventure sport mostly, like mountaineering, you can say. In India, it's very sad that it's not as famous a sport in India. There is no particular organization set up for open water swimming where you can go and approach and find your way across things. But I'm sure in the times to come, there will be an organization and who will help more people to come up, because right now, there are only a handful of swimmers doing this sport and taking it as an adventure sport. So I'm quite optimistic about the times to come. Now I would like to talk about my transition from conventional to the unconventional, as is the theme of today. I was not always an open water swimmer. I started off in a pool. I started to learn swimming when I was 2.5 years old, thanks to my mom. She is a swimmer herself, and she just threw me in the pool with an idea that everybody should know how to swim. And as my poem said, my destination was unknown, because at that point of time, I was too young to think, and neither did my parents ever think that I will reach somewhere at this level. I just started swimming because they thought that it's important for every child to be a participant in some extracurricular activities to give the child a break from the regular monotonous studies. And because she was herself a swimmer, this was the sport that she knew, she started teaching me when I was 2.5. This is a picture from a state level championship. I participated in the conventional competitions till my 10th or 11th standard. The last competition I participated was in Bangalore. I was All India 8th level, and the transition was not really dramatic. There was not a whole dramatic scene about, okay, I've done enough of conventional, let's do something new. No, nothing like that. My mom always kept telling me about Anita Sood, because she was from her batch, and she used to tell me about how Anita Sood did some swim in the Arabian Sea, and she went off to do the English Channel, and my mom herself had a vague idea of what English Channel is. Coming from the city that I am, it's a small city in the state of Rajasthan called Udaipur. After I did my English Channel, people actually came and asked me, which TV channel is this? So coming from that city, my mom herself, and it was a dark path to travel, and we always had a vague idea about things. And so when I was 14, my mom told me that there is this swim that happens in Mumbai. There's a port called Uran Port. From Uran Port to Gateway of India, there is a swim of 14 kilometers. And because I was doing good in swimming, she said, why not try this? Let's just try. You know, if we can do this, we'll plan about going to English Channel in future. So I started training with my coach in Bombay, and fortunately or unfortunately, I was his first student for long distance swimming. He used to train only the competitive level swimmers, but we started experimenting with the training. I have never undergone a formal training for open water swimming. He just took me to Juhu Beach one day and threw me in the sea and said, okay, let's swim. So that was the only training that I had before falling in the open sea. So my transition was rather just casual, from doing something to doing something bigger. So now, as I said, I'm not very good with words, and right now at this point of time, the only thing that I have to share with you guys are my experiences and what I have learned from my swims. You know, at this point of time, I would really like to thank all those people who thought that I could be a speaker with TEDx, because I've always, obviously because it's an August occasion and it's an honor for me to be amongst you people. But when they offered me to be a speaker here, they gave me an opportunity to ponder, to think that what have I really learned from my swims. You know, I always used to tell people whenever they used to come, how was your experience, how did you feel? And I used to just casually say that, you know, I've come out as a stronger person. But while preparing for this presentation, while preparing for this talk, I really got time to think, to sit and think what my swims have taught me, you know, because every sea is so different in itself. You cannot just compare two seas and say, okay, this was easier and this was tough. So every swim that I did had something to teach me which I could connect with and which I could use. The lessons could be used in my life. So here I stand before you and I would like to share a few experiences and a few lessons, and I hope that I give you something that you can put and you can apply to your life and make your life a little more better. Also, I would like to explain this picture. This is again me dozing off before the swim. So, yeah, the first lesson that I learned when this was before my first long distance swim, Uran Port to Gateway of India. I was 14 and I really had no idea what I was getting into. I was ready to jump in an open sea with a smiling face, with fingers like this. I didn't even know what it meant at that point of time. And looking like a Jerry mouse, and with all my parents tensed and my coach is tense, you know, what's going to happen, 14 kilometers, this is the first time she's going to do. I was busy wandering and, you know, thinking that the water is dirty. I had nothing else to think but to think that I might get some diseases. So what I learned from that swim is fun really helps. It's okay to not be serious all the time. It's okay to be casual about a few things and just walk the way. It's okay if you're laughing, and what's the harm if you laugh and reach your destination? That was my first lesson. I still apply this in my life. Every time I get nervous, I look at the picture and I tell to myself, it's okay, laugh it out. It'll be fine. And after finishing the swim, I was all happy and chirpy and, you know, I have done it. When I went back to my hotel, I was ready for a bath. I found 4 fishes in my costume. This is a video that I would like to show before talking about it. good, British.
Good.
Well, that's great.
Hey.
This was the video from, this was the last lap of my English Channel swim. I had already been swimming for 11 hours, and after the 10 hours, like you could see in the video, the coast was right there. The French coast was right there. Like, it's the distance from here to the main gate outside, some distance like that. But the currents were so strong that if I tried to swim this way, they were dragging me here. So I had to go like this, so that once I'm here, the currents will push me towards my coast. So, and the worst thing about English Channel is there's an imaginary line between England and France, the line of crossing. So once you cross that line, you hardly take 6 hours to cross the line. After crossing that, you can see the French coast right there. It's like just going there and touching it. But it takes 10 more hours, 12 more hours to reach there. There are so many people who have come this close, like 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers away from the coast, and they have given up because they couldn't do it. The success ratio of English Channel is only 20%. Every year, as many people go to swim across the English Channel, only 20% of them succeed. And I'm really happy to be one of those 20%. And I chose to show this video because at this point, when I was really struggling, I was not moving from a particular point. I was swimming, but I was not going ahead. And I was 16 at this time. I crossed English Channel at the age of 16. So that's the minimum age that you require to swim across. And my pilot and my observer, they told my mom that she's not moving ahead. I was struggling for 1.5 hours. At the same point, I could see a flag post right there. I'm swimming, seeing it there. Swimming, seeing it there. For 1.5 hours, I was going through that. And my pilot said, you know, she's just a kid. Let's pull her out, because they're really strict about the safety issues. So my mom told that to me, that the pilot is planning to take you out of the water. The pilot and the observer are really sweet people, really nice people, but at that point of time, they were my biggest enemy. Because they didn't know how much struggle, how much efforts I had gone through to reach here. You know, going from a country like India, being a girl where, unfortunately, being a girl itself is a major issue in most parts of the country. My parents have always supported me, of course. My mom has always pushed me to do something better. My dad has always been there as my backbone to support me. And the pilot and the observer didn't know that once I go back from here, there's no coming back again. Because if you fail during a swim, you have to go back to your country, apply, pay the fees all over again, and then come back and swim, which might take years. So I knew that there are people waiting from my city who are expecting a lot out of me, who are expecting me to finish this swim. And they didn't know that, and they were planning to take me out. So I didn't say anything to my mom. I just stomped my feet in the water, which created a huge splash, and my pilot was that a fish? And my mom said, no, that's my fish. And I started swimming. I put my head down and started 4 strokes, 5 strokes at a time. And it took me 3 hours to move ahead from that particular situation. But after 13 hours and 50 minutes of struggle, I finally reached the coast. I finally crossed the English Channel. Thank you. The thing that I'm trying to say here is, when I got down in the sea in the beginning, in the morning, when I started my English Channel swim, I didn't know what I had in me. Yes, I had trained for it. Yes, I had taken all the precautions. Yes, I was sure of doing it. But when this moment came, and when the energy came from within me, when the struggle came from within me, when my resolve got even stronger, that point of time I came to know what I have in me. This situation made me know that I could be more than this. I could be more than just a kid. I could be more than just a swimmer. I could be something better. I could be something more. So please always know yourself. Never ever underestimate yourself. There will be situations where you can either give up and say that I don't have it in me, or you can make your resolve stronger, choose to fight, reach your destination and say, I tried and I did it. Expect the unexpected. It sounds very cliche, but I could not come up with a better line for this particular situation. After the English Channel, I was very happy, you know, I have done the English Channel, I have crossed the Mount Everest of swimming. No more swimming for me because I started at the age of 2.5. Until 16 I was swimming and only swimming. So I was all jolly, happy, no more swimming to go and just be with friends and go to parties and all that. After a month, my mom came up with this new idea that there is a marathon happening in Zurich. It happens every year. It's called the Sri Chinmay Marathon, organized by Sri Chinmayji. And the whole theme of this marathon, he organizes a lot of marathon, like 24 hours playing music or running 24 hours or something like that. And this marathon was from swimming to a city called Rapperswil in Switzerland to Zurich. It's a lake. It's a 56 kilometers lake, but we had to swim a distance of 26.4 kilometers. So I went off for this event. When I reached there, I saw participants from almost 56 countries with proper training, proper suits, and they were all at the age of 30, 35, 40 or something like that. And I was still 16. And I was competing in the age group of under 40. So my competitors were 30, 35 years old. And okay, now since I'm there, I have to swim, right? So I got off in the sea and in the lake. They had provided us with a boat and a pilot to guide you through the route. They had provided us, and we were introduced to our pilot just an hour before our swim. So I would say this was one of the toughest swims because it was a lake. Before this, I had been swimming in seas, although I was practicing in lakes, but a competition like this was the first time for me. And it started raining unpredictably, and the lake water is still. So you really have to push hard, you really have to swim hard, because in the sea you can still expect the currents to push you. But in the lake there are no currents, the water is still. So you have to swim harder and harder and harder. So, and the pilot was getting on my nerves because the organizers had asked us to keep to the left of the coast. He was bringing me to the right, and we had all kinds of fight. My mom was there alone on the boat holding an umbrella with a video camera and trying to feed me at the same time. And she was annoyed, she was irritated, I was irritated because of the weather, because of the pilot. We were having all kinds of arguments. Kya hai isko bolo right pe rakhe, ye wo, blah blah blah. And finally I reached the finishing point after 10 hours, and they were interviewing all the finishers. They were giving them a garland of flowers, and those people were interviewing all the finishers. So I was just merely happy that I had finished my swim and nothing else. After an hour, I came to know that I stood first in my age group. That was really unexpected out of that swim. And this picture at the bottom, which says B1 Bhakti Sharma 10 hours 42 minutes, is the most memorable picture for me till now, because it reminds me to be hopeful all the time. While swimming, when I was wondering that, you know, how will I finish this swim, when I finished it, I was first in my age group. I had beaten somebody from Switzerland, Julia Ashton, by merely 3 minutes. In a swim of 10 hours, beating somebody with 3 minutes it's not really normal, you can say, because you really take long hours to swim. So this was the moment for me which always reminds me to be hopeful, to be optimistic, and to believe that there is a better plan. And here I would like to quote our own Mr. Albert Einstein, that there are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, and the other is as though everything is a miracle. In this swim, everything for me was a miracle. The driving force. This is a picture from me from the US. I did 3 swims in US, the Gulf of Mexico, the Pacific Ocean, and Key West Atlantic Ocean. And this was 2 days before my swim. I had fallen really sick, and I was given glucose through IV. And during the swim in Gulf of Mexico, the water is very tropical. This was my first experience in that kind of water. They have all kinds of fishes, they have all kinds of rays, they have all kinds of dolphins, and the water life, and everything possible in a sea they have. So it was the swim was a trial for the Olympic team for US, the long distance Olympic team, and I had requested them to participate in it just so that I could reach my target of finishing the 7 seas. They were very generous to allow me to swim with their competitors, As soon as the race started, 5 minutes in the race and everybody was ahead of me. And I was lost. I was really lost. And my mom was there in the boat, my mom, my aunt, and some few people from the association. And 2 hours down the race, I was stung by something. Some kind of ray stung me. And I had a pokey feeling all over my body. I told this to my mom, and my aunt luckily is a doctor. So she had this anti-allergic injections with her. So she held my hand from here and she poked the needle into me. So after some time the pokey feeling went, but the pain was there because of the needle. And I was swimming throughout with that pain. And I would be very honest with all of you, there was a point I really wanted to give up. I told my mom, I can't do this anymore. So my mom very diplomatically stands on the boat and says, "Dekh lo, see if you can do it." And I knew that if I come out, I'm going to get it from her. So I started swimming again, and swimming. We had to swim across the island. So and I was desperately waiting for my finishing point. And 8 hours down the swim, I came to know that every competitor from the event had finished their swim. They had declared the awards. They were done with their finishing ceremony. The speeches were over, and I was still in the water. And they were picking up the buoys, which are held as the landmarks for the swimmers. They were all picking up the buoys. So the organizer of that event came in a boat to pick up the buoys, and he saw me still swimming. And my mom started apologizing that, I'm really sorry I'm taking so much of your time. You can take her out. It's your competition. You can take her out if you want. Instead of that, the organizer got on my boat and started cheering from all his lungs out. He started yelling for me, and he made sure that I finished the swim. At that point of time, the organizer was my driving force. He was an American cheering for an Indian to finish a swim which was over way back. So I would like to tell all of you at this point that if there is a situation where you're really struggling to go ahead and you cannot find it within you, please look around. You will find a driving force. You will find it in form of somebody, your mother, your father, your family, your friends, your relatives, or a stranger like the organizer. You will find somebody who will be standing there yelling for you, cheering for you, and it's that point where you realize that you're doing it no more for yourself, but for that person who is cheering you, because that person has a faith in you. So please look around and find your driving force. The most important lesson that I learned from my swim was failures are important. As said in the introduction, recently me and my mom swam across the English Channel in a relay of 3 people. It has a very peculiar story about itself. I was doing all my swims, and I was following my goal of swimming in 7 seas and in 4 oceans. And this girl from Jodhpur comes. I knew her because she was a fellow swimmer. And she comes and tells my mom that, I want to swim across the English Channel. Since you have trained Bhakti, I want you to be my trainer, and I want you to guide me through this. So when she started training, my mom realized that she was not capable enough to do a solo. So my mom said, why don't you try a relay first, and then if you think that you can really do a solo, you go again next time. And with this idea, my mom always had this dream of swimming the English Channel herself, but due to her situation, she could never do it. So I was sitting there, and I told my mom, why don't we form a relay? You, me, and her, we'll form a relay. My idea was not to set up a world record. My idea was, for all this time, for all the 14 years and 16 years, for all this time, my mom was the one sitting on the boat and yelling at me, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. And I was thinking, she doesn't know whatever I'm going through. She's just sitting and yelling there. So I told her, now you will be in the water and I'll sit on your head and tell you to do so. So that was my main idea, to form a relay with her and swim across the English Channel. But we formed a relay. We started training, me, mom, and Priyanka. We went to the English Channel. We started practicing there. And honestly, I was very confident. I was confident to the point of being overconfident that we'll do it. Because before this, I never failed a swim. So I was very confident. And this was a relay. In a relay, 2 people sit in a boat. 1 person swims for an hour. Then the person comes out and you swim. So your chance comes after every 2 hours. And for somebody like me who always has swum 16 hours at a stretch, 14 hours at a stretch, this was an easy task, sitting on the boat for 2 hours, swimming for 1 hour, then sitting on the boat for 2 hours and swimming for 1 hour. So I was pretty overconfident that we'll do it. So the dates in these two pictures are very important. This one is 14/7/2008. We attempted our English Channel relay on this day. My mom is busy greasing me. I was always a scapegoat. You go first. So she was busy greasing me, and I'm all chilled out, we'll do it. 9 hours down the swim, we all realized that we couldn't do it because we were strong, we were fit, and we were very good in the water. But the weather was stormy. There were waves of our height, and in the water we were all fine. But the moment we came on the boat, we were all throwing up. So 9 hours, we were doing very good. We were quite close to the destination, and our pilot was very confident we'll finish it. But I was the one who said that I can't go further. My mom is a diabetic, and she was ready to swim. She was throwing up constantly, but she was ready to swim. But I said I can't go further because I was throwing up constantly. And at that time, I realized that it's done for us. The dream of achieving the Asian record and the world record is gone. And I had this guilt in me that it's because of me, because I gave up. I have done all my swims so well, and when it came to fulfilling my mom's dream, and when it came to fulfilling Priyanka's dream, I gave up. So I was all sad. And when we came back home, I had gone to the market in Dover, and when I went back, my mom was with the pilot, planning our next swim. And there were some supporters from India who had come with a team. They told us that you should go and tell the pilot that it was his fault that he took you out in a stormy weather. So we all got on the pilot, the Indians that we are. We all got on him, and it's your fault. You shouldn't have taken us. You wasted our money. This, that, blah, blah, blah. And he decided to take us again on 23rd, 07/2008. And we finished the swim in 16 hours. And we set up a world record of being the only mother-daughter combination to swim across the English Channel. We set up an Asian record of being a 3-people relay and swimming across the English Channel. There has been no relay team from Asia with a member of 3 people. There have always been 6 people, 8 people, because the swim is so difficult. So we had 2 records in our name. Had I given up, I had already given up, had my mom given it at that point of time, we would have never achieved it, because we would have never found the courage to take another bank loan and go all the way there. So from this thing, I learned the most important lesson of my life, that failures are important. They have something to teach you. Please accept failures, don't give up. As the very famous saying goes, that you have not lost when you fall down, you have lost when you refuse to get up again. So please accept your failures, see what went wrong. It's not that it might always be your mistake. There are situations, there are hard times. So accept the failures, learn from them. In the end, this is a picture recently taken. We and my mom were awarded the Kelvinator Great Women Awards for the world record. The swim where we failed first is the swim which brought us here. So I would like to conclude with a note that every accomplishment starts with a decision to try. Please dream, please try to realize those dreams. The work is half done. Thank you. And as a giving to this ceremony, I would just like to say this: conventional and unconventional are just 2 ways of looking at things. What might be conventional for me might be unconventional for you. So it's on you which you choose.